friends, welcome back to the Craft Castle. My name is Ashley and generally we're going to be here at noon, but I decided to come on a couple minutes early because I am ready to rumble. However, we're not going to start this craft project until noon, just to make sure that everyone is here that wants to create this sign with me. We are making a viral, what am I going to say? We're going to make a viral Etsy bestseller. It's hard to believe that it's already back to school season. That doesn't even make any sense to me. That is not computing with my brain. As I was trying to figure out what in the world we were going to make today, I was like, are we really making a back to school sign? Yes, we are. And we are going to do this today together. The coolest thing about this project is if you do not even have an xTool, that is okay. I'm personally going to be using my xTool M1 Ultra today to make the project, well, the finished project. We are going to make the SVG file within xTool's creative space. I will show you how to export it out of xTool's creative space so you can also use it anywhere you want. So if you want to use it on your Cricuts, if you want to use it on your Caesars, if you want to use it on a Glowforge, if you have a Glowforge, you can take this SVG file and do whatever you want with it. I mean, if you really wanted to sell it, you could also. The options are endless. So if you do not have an xTool, it's okay because the program is free. Everything about this program is free, which I love free. If there's anything that I can do to keep things free, I am going to do it. So we're going to do everything. We're going to do the building of the sign, adding the fonts and all the shapes and everything. We're gonna do it all in the creative space and it's free. And then you get to export it, which is free, which is two of the things. If you are, free 99. I love free. The cheaper, the better for me. I love things to be like super high quality, but at the end of the day, be the cheapest for me possible. The one thing I don't love about the Cricut design space and everything like that is you can't export your designed files. At the end of the day, you can, and I have tutorials on that, but technically it's breaking the rules. I just want you to be aware, of that. And then with the Caesar program, you can export your own SVG files, but you have to pay for the upgraded edition, which is the same thing like the Silhouette program. So that's kind of a bummer. So it's really nice to have like a program like xTool that you can design and make your files without ever having to pay for anything, because that's amazing. Okay, that's why I still pay for Cricut Design Space. Yeah, it's kind of a stink and it's kind of a bummer. My design space, the design space access, I think it ends in December, November, sometime. I don't know. It's gonna end. I did not auto renew myself because I'm overpaying for access when I can just use programs like xTool's creative space to do it. So hello and welcome to everyone that's popping on. I'm so excited that you're here. And just a reminder, if you don't have an xTool, it's okay. We're going to create this and I'm going to show you how to export the SVG file. All you're going to need to do is go into the xTool's website. I'll put this right here. I just put the link up. Click that link. You don't have to buy the machine. Click the link and at the very top, it will say software. I'm just gonna verify real quick. Yep, it's gonna say software. So at the very top, it's gonna say software. And then you're just gonna press the download button and you can download this via Mac or Windows. It's all the same. The link that I put in the comments, you don't have to buy the machine if you want to. You totally can, but you don't have to buy it. But you can definitely just download the program and then we'll learn the program together. I already know it, but you know, you're gonna learn it with me today, which is amazing. I love it. Okay, excited to catch you live. Well, welcome. Last week we attempted to cut the acrylic and not catch my craft room on fire. We are here today, and that means that my craft room did not go up in flames. Hallelujah. Today I am gonna cut a little bit of acrylic, but it's not gonna be as scary as last time because we're gonna be cutting acrylic that we know for sure will cut on my M1 Ultra. That being said, I have the 10 watt the 10 watt laser head for my M1 Ultra. They also sell the 20 watt laser head. If you're in the market for an M1 Ultra, I would strongly suggest that you get the 20 watt head. There's a lot of reasons of why, but essentially the more wattage, the better. You can cut more, things are crisper, things are fast, the cutting is faster, the engravings are faster. One in particular is going to be for this project. So the viral Etsy bestseller sign, it has white acrylic on the sign. Mine is a 10 watt laser head and I cannot cut white on my 10 watt laser head. So we're going to be using white dry erase board, which it's going to end up looking beautifully anyway. So we're okay with it being like that. But if you had the 20 watt laser, you totally could cut the white acrylic. So just keep that in mind. The actual one from Etsy that's a bestseller that everyone uses is going to be white acrylic, and I'm just going to be using white dry erase board. So with that being said, now it's 12:03. Are you ready to get crafting? Donna, I got the 20 because you can always use less power, but you can't make more than your diode produces. That's true. And the more wattage, the better. I've never found a need to like have less wattage. You know what I mean? More is better when it comes to wattage, especially for this particular machine or any type of laser. If you have an option, like if you're gonna get the P2 only comes with one laser option, but like if you were to get another laser that had like another option of more wattage, get the more. That's my spiel. Everything else could probably fall to the wayside, but like getting the more wattage is the best of the best of the best. Okay, are you ready to get started? Let's get to designing, and we are going to do this all in xTool. Remember, so we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Yeah? Yeah? Hopefully you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Okay, so this is going to be my finished sign. This is what I am going to cut today. However, you're going to make it the way you want it to be made. So just know that this is what the finished product is going to look like, but you're going to make it the way you want it. So you don't have to use my son's name. You don't have to use all of these date, height things. You can do whatever you want. I'm just going to show you how to build it, okay? So the very first thing we want to do is I am just going to slide this all over to here. When you are in xTool's creative space, I'm going to go to the home screen just to show you. This is what the home screen looks like for the xTool creative space. When you open it up, you're going to get to this sign, you're going to get to this screen. All you want to do is press new project. It's kind of the same thing like Cricut. If you have a Cricut, you just press that new project. A new window is going to pop up for your xTool at the very top. Yep, you can see it. So at the very top, you're going to have a new window. I am just going to toggle over here to the left because I already have started on the design work over here, so we can go back and forth and look at what we're doing. Okay, if I am going too fast, if you're like designing this with me and I'm going too fast, let me know and I will definitely slow down. I am a very fast talker. That is something that drives my husband crazy, is that I'm an extremely fast talker. So if I'm talking too fast for you, let me know, because I definitely don't want you to get lost in the process. Okay, so the very first thing we want to do is we want to make the back sign or the back board of our sign, which is going to be this big portion right here. This is what we're going to lay everything on top. So what we need to do is if you wanted to create just a square that does not have rounded corners, you can see in mine on the right that I have rounded corners. The easiest way to do this is I'm going to show you a different way. However, if you do not want rounded corners, just click this shape and click the rectangle. Okay, but if you want the rounded corners just like me, what you're going to do is come down here to this shape and you're going to go into basic shapes up here at the top. Then what we want to do is we want this shape right here, which is the rounded corner shape. And we are going to insert that into creative space. So you're just going to click and it's going to insert. If you did the square and you didn't want the rounded corner square, remember, all you would do is click on it and then you would drag your square into place. So those are two options. The greatest thing about creating your own SVG file is you're going to be able to do it the exact way you want to create it. So this is like the beauty of making your own SVG files. Sure, we could buy this file, but like I want something that's going to be exactly to my liking. So that's why I like to create my own SVG files. Okay, so with this now square, rounded corner square, you want now to create the size width. And I say we're going to do the height, but then we're going to make it a little bit smaller. But essentially what you want to do is make it the height that you want your square. So for my backer board, I have an 8-inch wide setting for my original one. So I am also going to do 8 inches. I technically want an 8.5 by 11, so like a standard letter size. So why don't we just go with that? I'm going to click on this rounded squared thing. I'm going to come over here and make sure that my lock is unlocked. So this like little thing that's over here on the right now, it's locked. I want it unlocked so then I can resize this to 8 inches wide by 11 inches in height. Okay, are we good? Everyone's following along? I sure hope so. Okay, the reason why my original sign is not 11 inches is because I ended up making it a little bit shorter to accommodate for the name. I am working with not a whole lot of wood, so I'm trying to make sure that my sign fits my wood at this point. So if you have ample amount of wood or like larger pieces of wood, then you should be okay. But I seriously only have 3 pieces of wood. So if I mess up, I am in trouble. I only have 2 other additional tries with this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just make this a little bit shorter so I could accommodate for the name. I have seen these back to school sign boards without any personalizations. So if you are creating this SVG file and you don't want to add in a personalization, you can miss this step. You do not have to do this step. I, however, want to put a name on here. So I'm obviously going to make it a little bit shorter just so I can accommodate for the personalized name up here. The other cool thing about this too is if you wanted to make these to sell, you can essentially just set up this file without having the name put into place. And then you can quickly weld this and cut it and assemble it. So it would be like super easy to use later. Okay, but now what we want to do, I have this like a little bit shorter. I have a 12-inch piece of wood, three roughly 12-inch pieces of wood. So I need my final sign to be less than 12 inches on all the signs or on all sides. So that's why I have a little bit more room up top. Okay, now what you want to do is we're going to insert a name because I want to do a name. So all you need to do is come up here to the text box and you're just going to click on your wherever. It doesn't matter where because we're going to move it. Now you want to put in the name that you want. I'm just going to duplicate this and do the same name as the one I have on the right, which is my son's name. And then after you have that done, you then want to pick all your fonts. So we're going to come down here to text and we're going to click on this. It defaults to this, I don't know how to pronounce it, Lado. It always defaults to this. Then all you want to do is select the font, any font. Because this is going to be like we're going to cut this out on black acrylic. The thicker your cut for the layering, the better, just because if you don't want to like get in there, you know, nice and tight with your big old fingers and your small old pieces of acrylic, I would suggest a thicker font. Thin fonts, cutting acrylic just sounds like, you know, doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun for me. So I'm going to choose a thicker font. And I downloaded this font off of Creative Fabrica, I believe. Let me see. This one, BFC Birthday Party. Let me see. I love this font. And I'm going to see BFC birthday party. I'm going to see where in the world I found this font at. BFC birthday party font. Unfortunately, I don't even know where it's at. BFC birthday party font right here. Yep, this is it. Okay, this is going to be this is this font. It's going to be a downloaded font that you are going to download. I just added it to the comment section. You click on it and then open it up, download it, and then what you need to do is save your work and then completely exit out of Creative Space and then open it back up and then it'll be there for you. So just keep that in mind. It won't automatically be there. You have to exit out and then come back in to Creative Space to be able to toggle and click on your font. So just keep that in mind. But this is the font that I'm going to be using, and I love this font. It is one of my most favorite, really thick, cutesy fonts, especially for like back to school time. This is like such a good font. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to resize this just so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to drag this up here. Because what we need to do now is create that offset. Do you see how over in my original sign that I have my name, which is right here, and then I have like the offset or the shadow, you know, that like that thicker, cuter looking thing that's over top. So what I'm going to do is selecting my name that I have. If obviously your name is going to be different than my name, then what you want to do is just press outline. And you are going to see a secondary blue line that pops up. Do you see that? Now what you want to do is make it bigger. And sometimes, like, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drop this down really low. If you have a offset, it's not going to make me, like, come on. Point. Okay. It's going to make me out to be a liar, but let's just see here. 0.01. Okay, this is going to be hard to envision, but just try and envision it. And I'm going to zoom in just so I can show you. If you were to do an extremely small outline, and this is going to be, obviously, this is going to be way too small. So you're just going to have to trust me when I tell you this. And I'm trying to get it to where it would just be exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So, you know. This is kind of like, is the video a little distorted for anyone else? Hopefully it's not. Let me know if it is. But hopefully it's not. Okay, so this is kind of the same concept with Cricut. If you have a Cricut. Do you see how my offset, that small little blue line that's outside of the other blue line, I wish it was a different color, but it's not. So you're just going to have to trust that it is. So this right here, if we were to confirm this, what would happen is none of your letters would be connected. So do you see how we don't have any connection here? So when we go to cut this out, you're going to have letters that aren't connected. So what we want to do is create a offset that is large and in charge, just like this right here. So my original sign, do you see how the only thing that we really have going on for the offset is going to be the top and then the sides? That's what we want. We want all of our letters to be large and in charge and stuck together. It is a blurry computer screen. I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix that. It is really hard to see your letters. Unfortunately, I don't know how to fix that because I just checked my settings were set. I don't know. Hopefully in the replay, it will load up in 4K. I know that it's like the least, when we're streaming, it's like the least amount possible. So hopefully it will load up in 4K for the replay. That's why I like to talk my way through this. So hopefully you can just, hopefully you can tell by what you're supposed to do with what I'm saying to you. But hopefully it'll load up better in 4K for you. It's really interesting though that it's not loading up correctly. So I'm really sorry about that. Okay, so with the name, we want to create a really big offset, right? So we're gonna press the outline, and then we are gonna only really focus in on making sure that the letters are gonna be connected. So like my P and my A are not connected, and then I wanna make sure that I have like a really good shadow border over the top of my name. So you could do one or two things. You can take this little dot and drag it up like this, or you can come over here and just use your little buttons, and you can toggle down or up depending on, oh, come on. See, I gave up earlier because I was like, yeah, whoa. Come on. Okay, let's go a little bit smaller than this. All right, so I like the look of this. At the very top, you're gonna see that all of my letters have a good border around everything. You could make this a little bit bigger if you wanted to. Again, this is your project, so you get to do whatever you want, but I like the size of this outline. When I'm done doing that, I just wanna press confirm. Okay, let's drag this up here. And do you see that there is like an additional cutout right here in my C and in my R, in between my R and my D? I want to get rid of those. So what I'm going to do with my new outline is I'm going to double click. These nodes are going to pop up. We want to delete the nodes. So I'm going to select all the nodes in that C and the K and delete it. And then the R and D and also delete it. If you wanted to continue deleting nodes, you totally could. You could keep maneuvering this and making it different. I don't want to change the look of my design too much. I just want to delete those smaller little cutouts. When I'm happy with the design of this, I'm just going to press done. If you find out once you press done that you don't like this, you can double click and keep deleting your nodes, or you could always just press undo, which is Command Z. Going backwards. This is one of my favorite things of this, outside of exporting our SVG files. Having the ability to delete my nodes is like a saving grace. I absolutely love the fact that they have this feature. Okay, now what I want to do is recenter my outline into my name. So I'm going to select both pieces, the outline and the name, and I'm going to come over here into this align tool, and I'm going to align it center. So now my name is centered onto my offset. Okay, selecting my name and the offset, so both pieces, I'm going to drop this down to the top of my sign. Now, obviously, my name is too big for my sign right now, so I'm just going to resize this. When I resize this, you want to make sure that over here, this lock ratio button is locked. And I say that, and I just tell you that a lot of people, there's a preference here. Some people don't mind distorting your fonts. I am not one of those people. I absolutely cannot stand when a font is distorted, and I can tell. I can tell when a font has been distorted or not. So I always just say to keep this locked, and then we resize our font in the way it's supposed to look. And the great thing about the xTool program is I don't have to select 3 pieces and then press a line, because as I'm going over into the center, you can see that there is a line, and it's like telling me I'm directly center in my rectangle. That's exactly what I want. Love that feature. Okay, now what we want to do, you could either keep going on resizing your font. I like the size of my font, however, I want it to go down just a little bit more. So I'm gonna select both pieces, my font and my outline, and I'm going to drag this down until I get to Where am I going? Yeah, I like this size. This size is good. Okay, when I like the position of my name with my sign, you're gonna have to envision this and just really only look on the outside portions of your outline and then your sign, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna weld these together. So we're not worried about anything that's down here necessarily. We're just worried about the outside edge of the name and your sign. When you have that, what you want to do is only selecting the outline of your name, pressing Shift on your keyboard, and then also your backer for your sign. And then what you want to do is come over here and we want to combine. And then over here in xTool Creative Space, it's called Unite, but it's just welding. We're just going to weld them together. And ta-da! Look at that. We have a welded sign into our welded name into our sign. Now in our welded sign, you can see that there is an additional cutout that's right here. Kind of the same concept of what we did with the name earlier. I want to get rid of that. I don't want that. So I'm going to double click my sign. Some nodes are going to pop up. Now I just want to delete the nodes that I have that I want to delete. If you don't want to delete them, you don't have to. That's definitely optional. When I've done that, then all you want to do is press done. And this is what our sign looks like now. Definitely a little bit different than my original sign. The K comes down a little bit. If you didn't like that, you would just go backwards until we were back at creating the offset, and then you would create a whole new offset. So just so you know, there's always the undo button, which I love. I love that nothing is ever permanent, you know? Okay, now what we want to do is create essentially what our sign's going to look like. This part's going to go by really fast because it's really, really, really easy. Okay, the very first thing we want to do is create the shapes of which we are going to layer the whiteboard wood to. These like squares and rectangles are going to be our whiteboard wood besides this one. This one's going to be wood, but we'll get into that. Okay, I am going to insert a square, and I'm just going to click on this square. If you don't have this box up, it's this little thing over here on the left. Water break, sorry, hold on. Okay. If you don't have this box popped up, all you need to do is click this icon right here. Then this will pop up. Then you would go into basic shapes, and then this is where you would be at. Once you have your square in, you just click it, click your rectangle, and a new one will pop in. Then what we want to do is resize this. Oops, I have two. So I'm going to delete one. And we're going to go back. Okay, now what I want to do is start making my rectangles and squares. So for my very first one, and you're going to resize this as you play around with it. So nothing's really technically permanent until we go to cut this. There's going to be a lot of resizings to your likings as we fill it up. So I am going to make sure with my one rectangle, you're going to come over here and make sure that this is unlocked. We want to unlock this. And then I am just going to take my arrow and I'm going to make this longer. And do you see all those little lines that are popping up on my screen? That's because the xTool is telling me I'm perfectly centered into my board, which I love. Then I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller because this one over here, it says today is my first day of, and then I also have a secondary one up here. I don't want those too big. Those don't need to be gigantic, right? So we're just going to make it a little bit smaller. Then what I'm going to do is copy and paste. So Command C and Command V. And then I'm going to make this one go about here, making sure that this is unlocked. Because we copied and pasted the original rectangle, you shouldn't have to constantly be looking to see whether or not this is locked or not because it's already unlocked. So that's the benefit to copy and pasting your rectangles. We are going to make this one a little bit bigger. I want this to be larger than my original rectangle that we have in length, making sure it's centered. Then I want to make this taller. So we're just going to do it like that. Again, we're not really focused too much about sizes right now because once we get everything into place, we're definitely going to readjust this later when we get everything we want on our board, designed onto our board. Okay, now what I want is these perfect squares. So because these aren't squares, the easiest way to go there, the easiest way to put in a perfect square is just to click on this rectangle, and we are just going to create a square. You want to press Shift on your keyboard and then create that square, and it should create one. Oops. Shift on the keyboard, come on, righty here, and Shift on the keyboard, and then we're going to create this square. Why aren't you making a square? Oh, it doesn't want to give me the hot tools. There we go. Okay. There we go. There's a square. Shifting on the keyboard did finally work for me. My goodness gracious. What is going on? Fine. If it doesn't want to make the perfect square for you, you can just come over here and make sure that the lengths and your widths and heights are perfect squares later. Just keep that in mind. I finally got a perfect square. Thank goodness. So now I want to create 3 of those because I'm going to do the date, age, and height. So I am going to come over here. I'm going to make this a row of 3. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Copy and paste, Command C, Command V. I'm going to put this one right here. And I'm going to do another one, copy and paste, Command C and Command V. And I'm going to go over here. Now I feel like these ones are a little bit too small. See, these ones over here are a little bit larger on the right. These ones right here are a little bit too small. So I'm just going to move this over together. Selecting all 3 of these. How you do that is just click on one square, Shift on your keyboard, and then select all 3 of those squares. We are now going to make this bigger, making sure that this right here is locked because we want these to be squares. So you want to make sure that they are locked, and we are going to make them bigger. And I like this. I like the size of this. This one looks a lot better. So I'm going to make sure that my squares are aligned in the middle of my sign. Perfect. Like the look of that. And then what we want to do is create 2 more rectangles down here at the bottom. So because I already have a rectangle here on the screen, I'm going to click this rectangle, copy and paste, Command C and Command V. Then what I'm going to do is drag this down here. And I want to make another rectangle, so I'm just going to, or 2 smaller rectangles. So I'm going to come over here to the right, and I'm going to go bloop, and just make this just like this, any size you want. It's your project. You get to make it whatever size you want, which is the great part about making your own SVG files. And I say that saying if you want to do less squares and rectangles, you totally could because it's yours. If there are different options, which when I was looking on Etsy, there are a ton of different options, a ton of different things that you can add to your board. So the more you could do whatever you want, the options are endless for you when you're creating your own file. Okay, I want 2. So I'm going to take my now rectangle that I have on my screen, and I'm going to copy and paste. And I'm going to drag this over to this side. I want my rectangles to meet up on the right side of both the right and the left. So the far left, I want everything to be nice and aligned over here, and I want everything to be nice and aligned over here. And I want these to be aligned together. Now this gap is like really big, right? So I'm going to make the gap a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to make the rectangles just a little bit bigger. It may look like I have ran out of space, but we can just resize this. Remember, we're going to resize here in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to make these just a little bit shorter. So clicking on both rectangles, I am going to click Shift on my keyboard, selecting both rectangles. We are going to make sure that this right here is unlocked, which it should be, and we are just going to make both of them a little bit shorter just so we can add in the wording that we have going on here. Okie dokie. Now what we want, and I am going to press pause real quick because the next thing that the font that I want is going to be off of Creative Fabrica. This is going to be a Creative Fabrica font, and it's one of my favorite another thin, cutesy little writing font that a lot of people use. It's one of my favorites. Creative Fabrica is like seriously one of my go-to websites for fonts and all the things, but especially fonts, just because it guarantees they work. So many times I download fonts and they don't work, and that's quite annoying. I'm just looking for that font that I downloaded. Where is it? 19. Let me know if you have any questions about this sign before I get to moving on to more. We are almost finished with the design process, which is great. When I first initially designed my sign, it seriously only took me like 5 minutes, which is amazing. It's going to take you longer today just because I'm going to talk you through everything, but it's definitely a lot easier once you start getting familiar with the design program. I should have had it already popped up, but I am not prepared, obviously. This one, is it this one? I think it is. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know what it is. ABCD regular. Okay, so I'm going to have to find it and link it later just because I can't seem to find it. I download so much in Creative Fabrica, I don't know what in the world I download. But this is going to be the font that I'm going to use. How to get them over here on the new sign is just how we got the original name to our sign. You want to click on the text, and we can click this anywhere. You don't have to click it on your thing. You can click it anywhere because we're going to need to resize this. So for my very first thing that's up here, I want this to say today is my first day of. So we're going to do the same. Today is my first day of. And then we're going to select the text. So we're going to come over here to the text. It auto formulates to that Lato sign. And I want to find that file, which for me is going to be this right here, which is my favorite cutesy little up and down font. This is like perfect for back to school time because it's technically supposed to be like a letter tracing thing for kids. It has like dots and dashes, you know, when you like learn how to do your letters. Love it. Okay, when I have my font selected, I'm just going to click out of that, and then I'm going to resize this, making sure that this right here is locked, remember, which it should be. It should auto formulate to lock. As long as you haven't unlocked it, it should auto-formulate to lock. Now what I'm going to do is resize this because it obviously needs to be smaller, and I need to put it into my first rectangle. Let's zoom in. A little bit too small, so let's make it a little bit bigger. And make this in the middle of my rectangle. Right here. If you don't trust your rectangle or those lines that pop up on your screen, you can select the font, shift on the keyboard, and also your rectangle that you're trying to place your lettering to. And you can come up here to the design thing and press align, and then press align center. Mine was completely centered, so you didn't see anything shift. But just in case, if you didn't trust the lines that pop up on your screen. Okay, when we have that done, and I like the placement, I'm going to zoom out. Whoops. And then I want to do the date, age, and height, right? So I'm going to use the same font throughout. So I'm going to click on today is my first day of, and I'm going to copy and paste, Command C, Command V. Then I am going to put this down here in between this rectangle and these squares, just like how I have over on my original sign. I'm going to double click on my text box, Command A or select all. And for this one, I'm going to put date and then click out. And I move this to the center of the first square. Now, obviously, I am going to have to readjust my spacing here because it's off, but we'll do that when we get all of the other two text boxes put in. So selecting my date, because I have it sized the way I want, I'm going to copy and paste, Command C and Command V, and I'm going to drag this over just right here for right now, double click, and let's do age, click out of that, and doing the same thing we did with date, we're going to move that in the center of our square. And is it center? Now it's center. Okay, then with age selected, we are going to copy and paste, Command C and Command V, and we are going to move this over here. And double click, and we are going to put in height or whatever it is that you want to put in there. Now we're going to click out. We're going to make sure that our last text box is centered onto our square, which it is for me. Okay. Now what I want to do is put in these last two text boxes down at the bottom, so then we can go ahead and resize this in a second. So what I'm going to do is selecting my one of the many text boxes that are on our screen. We're going to copy and paste Command C and Command V, and we are going to drag this down here, and this is where you're going to double click, doing the same things that we've done earlier. When I grow up, I want to be, and then click out. I need to resize this to fit into that rectangle. I want it to be a little bit smaller than that rectangle. When I'm happy with the size, then I'm going to copy and paste, putting it over here. It doesn't need to be in the exact spot because we're getting ready to change it. Double click on the text box, and then this is going to be things I love. Okay? Now, this one, I not only want it to be in the center of my text box, but the one that's on the left, I also want it to be center with my rectangle, okay? Now, obviously, the date, age, and height seems to be really close to the other box that's up there. I don't want that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start readjusting the spacing here. So the easiest way to do this for me is I'm going to select pretty much everything. I'm going to do, we'll go this to this. We're going to select the two longer boxes, the two text boxes up the top, the three perfect squares, and the three text boxes. When I do that, what's also going to happen is it's going to select your very backer board piece for your sign. Press Shift on your keyboard and click that big piece that you have. Do you see how it now is unselected? That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just drag this portion down a little bit so I can start maneuvering and respacing the things I need to space out. So like I drag that down. I like the spacing now. I'm going to take my three text box at the very top. It selected the big piece, so I'm going to press Shift on my keyboard, and then also click the bigger piece. It's going to deselect it. Now I can drag these up here. Okay, I like the spacing of my sign right now. This is really cute. Maybe I could drag this up. Do you think that I should drag this one up here? I'm going to drag this one up here. Today is my first day of. I'm going to drag it and make it just a little bit higher. I don't want it to feel like it's out of place, but these two, we'll drag this up. This is going to be the hardest part of the project. First, the hardest part is going to be choosing a font. Hopefully you use the same fonts as I did, and then you don't have to like be decision overload. But the other hardest part is just trying to make sure that all your alignments is perfect to your liking, because once we go and cut this, it's going to be there forever. So you just want to make sure that what you're seeing on your screen, you are happy with. If you are happy with it, then we can go and finalize the sign. But if you're not, you just want to keep messing around with it until you are. I finally got my sign to where I like everything that's placed. I like the placement of that. So I obviously am going to need a secondary piece of wood. This is where magnets are going to come into place, and we're going to be able to interchange this. So what I'm going to do is selecting today is my first day of. It also auto generates the selecting of the big piece. I'm just going to press Shift on my keyboard, click the big piece, so it deselects it. And then I'm going to copy and paste, Command C, Command V. And I'm going to drag this up here away from everything else. And then for this one, I'm going to double click this, and then I am going to do, instead of first, I'm going to do last. When you have that done, you can just click out of that. All right? Now, when we're done doing that, you just want to make sure and select this and then press the align into center just to make sure it's nice and centered on there, which it is. Okay. So in order for this to be a SVG file that you're going to be able to export out of Creative Space and then use for all other projects, like all other softwares and machines and stuff, what we need to do is make sure that every single one of your editable text box are no longer editable text box. There is a professional word to all of that, but I'm just going to tell you, if you can edit the text, that means that it's not going to upload into a different program. So we want to make sure that we can't edit the text. When we do this step, however, you want to make sure that everything is spelt correctly. If things are not spelt correctly, you are going to have a problem later because everything's not going to be editable. Make sense? So making sure that everything is spelt correctly, what we're going to do is we're going to take our editable text box. I keep saying that, and I probably sound so silly saying it. I feel so silly. We want, after we're done, I feel like I have a stutter as I say it, but trust me here. We're going to take the text box that you can edit, and you want to press weld. Now what we want to do is taking our next text box, which is going to be my son's name, and then we want to press weld again. Doing the same thing with this, we're just going to press weld. You want to make sure that every single box that can be edited can no longer be edited. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Okay, now that we have that done, technically, this right here is a design that you can export your SVG file to. So if you are happy with what you have here, this is going to be your sign. You're not going to use the xTool. You're going to use a different program to cut this out. All you would need to do is come over here into this little drop down caret that's right here. And you're going to go to File, and you are going to Export as SVG. When you do that, yeah, just press OK. The text will be raster size and then export. Oh, well, this is going to auto weld for you. So if they're going to auto weld for you, I would just do it anyways. Make sure and auto weld all your text box. Apparently they're going to do it for me, but I'm just going to press OK. Then what you want to do is name your file and then just press save, and xTool is going to save your file wherever you want. And then you can upload this SVG file into any other program that you want to that accepts SVG files. So, but I am going to cut this out on my xTool. So we are going to do a little bit more. The design process is completely finished, but because I'm going to now use it with my xTool, I have like settings that I have to adjust. I have materials that I need to put into we still have some work to do for the xTool. But technically the design is done, and then you don't want to, I wouldn't do, if you were going to sell this SVG file, I wouldn't manipulate it anymore. I would just save it just like this. Okay, I think I'm going to use my original file. The only reason why I'm going to use my original is because my son's name, I like the look of the one on the right versus the one we built together. So all I'm going to do is select this one right here, and I'm just going to drag this over out of the way because although the sign is cute, I like the way my son's name looks over here. So we're going to take this and we are going to drag this over back into our work area. The work area for the xTool, the M1 Ultra, is going to be the white screen. This is what you can cut on the xTool. If your material is 12 by 12, you're going to be able to cut it. Okay, first things first, what I want to do is turn everything that I want to engrave into an engrave file. So the text box that were editable, I want to engrave them besides my son's name. So like today we're going to go to engrave. And then for this, I'm going to be engraving. Do you like my notepad? I wrote down all of my settings that we're going to be using today. And this is my chicken scratch. So I already have them ready to use. So today we're going to be using the basswood plywood that comes from xTool. You can also buy maple plywood from Lowe's or Home Depot. I like using that too. But for the, we're going to be cutting the backer plate. We're going to be engraving the basswood plywood, which is also going to be the backer plate. So for this sign, this little thing here that we're going to attach to the front of our sign, that is also going to be cut in the same wood that we use for the backer sign. So this right here, I need to engrave, and this engrave setting is going to be 50 power and 100 speed. So coming over here, we're going to do 50 power and we're going to go to 100 speed. And then we're going to come over here to this next one. We're going to set to engrave and do the same thing, 50 power, 100 speed. Donna, I like to change the color of all my score, engrave, and cuts to 3 different colors. This helps me keep them separate when adding my settings to each color. You totally could do that, Donna, and that's actually a really good tip. So let's do what Donna's saying just so I can show you, because not a lot of people know you can do this. So let's highlight all the stuff that we want to engrave. I want to engrave this, shift on my keyboard. I also want to engrave this, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select all of these text boxes down here, and I'm also going to do engrave. So when I have this engraved, when I have everything selected that I want engraved, I am going to right click and I'm going to move these to a new color. Let's move them. Engraving is generally blue. When I design my files in Inkscape, I design them with blue as engraved. So I'm just going to keep with that. Yes, blue, because we are going to do some scoring here in a second. Okay, this right here is now all blue. Now what I want to do is come up here to engrave, because they're all set there to engrave. And again, we are going to do engrave at 50 power. So changing this over to 50. And then this one right here is going to be 80 speed. Okay, and then clicking out, and then all we're going to do is click out of it. LOL, I keep mine consistent too. Red is always cut. So black is cut for me, blue is engrave, and red is score. That's how I design an Inkscape, and so I try and design that everywhere just so I can keep my P's and Q's in line. Okay, so now that we have the engrave settings set, now what I want to do is I'm going to set my cut settings, or we're going to set the score settings. So this is optional, but I love being able to do this because we worked really, really, really hard to make sure that everything is like nice and centered and looking good and spaced right, and everything is spaced right, right? If we were to go and cut this, what would happen is that we would not know where in the world to glue everything, and we're just going to go on a hope and a prayer and hope that our eyes see the correct spacing. However, I'm going to ensure that we have the proper spacing for everything. So what I'm going to do is selecting all the pieces that I see on my board, that technically we are going to cut. So then my son's name, which would be your name, shift on the keyboard, we are going to select the removable sign that we are going to interchange. We are also going to select the whiteboard piece that's up here. All three of these squares, we're also going to select this rectangle and this rectangle. So what you're going to have selected is the name and every single square or rectangle that's on your board. And I know that it's blurry. I've heard that it is blurry, so hopefully it's not. On my screen, because I did bring it up on my laptop, it's not blurry for me, so I don't know why. Maybe some sort of internet issue that we're having or something like that. Maybe that's why, but it's not for me. Okay, what I want to do now is I am going to, let's just change this over to score, because we're going to keep with that. We're going to keep with that theme. I want to change this over to red because red means score to me. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to make this red. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste. So Command C and Command V, and I'm going to drag these over here off of my working area. So this right here, I actually want to cut all of these out because I want this to be like the 3D letters that get glued on top of my sign. So for me, cutting is going to be black. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to change this over to black. And then I am going to click out of that. Okay. I'm also going to come back over to the original sign because the original sign is light blue and I don't want it light blue because I've determined I need to cut that out, right? So I am going to click on the original backer sign and I'm going to right click and I'm also going to change this over to black because we are going to cut this out. So what you should have is everything that is on your sign that we are going to score. So your name and those little rectangles. Oop, we need to change this one up here at the very top. Don't forget about the very top one. We're going to right click on the very top rectangle and change it to black because we do also need to cut that out. So all your rectangles and squares, we are going to cut those out. And then your name, your personalized name that you're going to put on top of your sign, you also want to cut that out. We're going to cut that out in black acrylic. It's easier to see since you put the colors. Ooh, I should have done the colors a long time ago. Okay, now what we need to do is change the cut settings over. Score, I don't mess with the score settings. I never do. I never have. I've always left the score settings just the way that they sit. However, we do need to change the settings for the cut settings. So the easiest way to do this, since we all have the black is set to cut, and so we know that we're going to cut all this out. The easiest way to do this is just click this black thing that's at the very bottom, this like black swatch, and we want to change this over to 100 power and 5 speed. Now, I am going to tell you, we are going to change this again for other materials because technically the name, the layered name, I'm going to cut that out on black acrylic. So that's going to get a different setting. To not confuse you, we'll get into that later. I'm not going to start changing things around right now. So for the name, I'm going to cut it out on black acrylic. So that's going to have a different setting. For all of my rectangles, these right here, no, not this rectangle or this rectangle. I need to put this over here. All of these rectangles and squares, all of these ones are going to be made out of the MDF whiteboard material that we're going to be able to put dry erase. Did I say whiteboard? Yes, dry erase markers. So this right here is a completely different material. So we're going to need a different setting for it. Not all settings is going to work for all materials. So we're going to have to change them here in a little bit. And then everything that's over here, this stuff, this backer board and these two rectangles, This right here needs to go up here with this. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? So, sorry, I don't know what happened in my brain, but you want your two rectangles at the very top. You want those to be your today is my first day of, and your next one needs to be today is my last day of. And then this rectangle that's on your screen, you just want that to be red, just plain red. We don't want to engrave today is my first day of. You just want to leave it just like this for the rectangle. Sorry. Glad I caught that before we finished because I would have been so annoyed. But so everything that's over here on your left, we're going to cut this out on the basswood plywood. So I currently have the settings set to the basswood plywood settings because the very first thing I'm going to do is the backer of my board. So the cut settings for those is 100 power and 5 speed. Yes. Yep. Engrave, which is this, is going to be 50 power and 80 speed. Yes. And then I didn't adjust the score lines. The score lines, I just leave them the way that it is. Making sure that when we do this though, do you see how when I toggle over to score, it's right here at score? Yeah? When I go over into blue, which is technically supposed to be engrave, my setting up here says engrave, which is perfect. Going over into black, because black is cut, this says score. Aha! I didn't change something. I want to make sure that this says cut. Now when it says cut, we are going to rechange the settings over to the settings that I need. 100 power and 5 speed. Always, always, always want to double check. Even someone like me who has had a laser for 4 or 5 years now, I always, always, always double check because the last thing you want to do is mess up your material because your material is expensive. Okay, now what we need to do is go over into our xTool and we need to load in our material that we're going to be using. So the very first material that we're going to be using is going to be that plywood, the natural wood setting. So let's go over there. And you are going to see that my thing looks different now from last week. I believe the week before. I think last week I did have the honeycomb tray. I'm not entirely sure. You're going to have to remind me whether or not I did or I didn't have the honeycomb tray. But today I have the honeycomb tray. So I am going to insert my first piece of material, which is going to be this right here, which is that plywood. We're going to put that in here. And this right here is the clamp down things for the honeycomb tray. I love them. This material is laying flat. If it didn't lay flat, it would help tremendously for you. Also, it's going to make sure that your stuff doesn't slide, which it shouldn't slide, but just in case the wind blows too hard in there, it's going to hold it in place. Now, I have my laser already put on my head, okay? Or yeah, my laser put on my head, or my laser head put into my machine. If you don't have your laser head already put into your machine, now you want to put your your head inside your machine. Okay. When we have that done, what we want to do is we want to go over, let's see here, what we got here. One new thing that I have been doing is to make more than one canvas. Each canvas is for cutting, then the different material and the cut settings can be different on canvas 2 and more. Donna, if that is more efficient for you, go right ahead. That honestly, I think I can't think in more than one tab. More than one tab for more than one tab for one project is way too much for me. I like to just work in like groups. So like we have groups here. That's what I like to do is I like to group them all together. Yay, so excited. My M1 Ultra comes in on Wednesday and you're going to be able to make this sign. That's going to be the great part. Okay. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to do an auto focus. This is going to tell the machine how far away your material is to the head. This just ensures that you have really good crispy cuts. So what you need to do is you need to go over to the xTool, because I didn't do it. You need to go over to the xTool and shut the lid on your xTool, making sure that this right here, do you see this like little aim thing? This is somewhere on the material that you're using. Just want to make sure it's somewhere on your material. Doesn't matter where, just somewhere. And then shut the lid. Okay, when we're done doing that, going over into your xTool program, you just want to press this little ruler button, and it's going to auto focus. You're not going to be able to see it, but essentially what the machine did was just like doop, and it, you know, just kind of like moved onto the thing. When we did that though, this number changed right here. That's perfect. I love it. That means that it did its job. You could manually do all this and insert your own numbers using calipers and stuff like that. Man, like, I'm not trying to make things harder for myself. So make it easy for you too, and just do the autofocus feature. That is like one of the things that makes this amazing. Okay, now what we need to do is mark our area. I have shown you this before and in a live last week. I've also released a video on this. You could use your app, but I'm not going to use my app on my phone. I'm just going to use the mark processing area thing, just because it's just as quick. And because it's a square and we're just going to cut it, I really don't care too much about the precision of where I'm putting things. So I'm going to press mark area, because right now we don't know where that material is, right? And then I am going to do a polygon. This just ensures that we have it like nice and good and focused. More than one little dot is great. When we do that, we want to press start marking. Then what we need to do is head over to the xTool. When we open up the lid at the very front of your machine, you're not going to see it, but at the front of your machine, there is a silver button and a white button. You're going to be using the white button for this project. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my head and I'm going to go to the bottom right of my material, and I'm going to line up this thing right here. I'm going to line up this corner to the bottom left of my material. When I have that done, I'm going to press the white button at the front of my computer, or at the front of my machine. Then I'm going to go to the left corner, doing the same thing. You're going to be able to see this a lot better when we get to the top left. And I'm going to press the front white button. Coming up here to the left. Okay, you see this right here? We're going to line up the corner to the very top, or almost to the top. My head won't go back any further, so you are going to see that it's not at the very top. That's fine. Press the white button. We're going to go over here to the right and do the same thing and press the white button. Okay, now what we want to do, I'm going to shut the lid just because I need to remember to do that. I need to start telling myself I need to do that more often. Okay, with the lid shut, what we want to do is press end marking. Then what we want to do is press done. All right, do you see this new black square that's right here? That is where my material is at. Donna, all you do is select your right screen, click and select out, open a new canvas, then add a canvas on canvas 2. That's a lot of work. Too many open tabs for me. Okay. So the reason why it is so important to do this mark area, if you're not going to use your phone or the app to use it as the camera, the reason why we wanted to put the marked area in there is because our material looks like it is like out to the right a little bit. If we were to cut this out where my sign is placed right now, it would cut off, right? Our sign is like hanging over to the left. Past our material. This material is right here. This like black square that's right here. So now I need to make sure and put it into my material. So I'm going to select my sign, everything with my sign, and I'm going to drag it over into my material. Okay. And we're just going to hug it just a little bit, just so it gets, I'm going to conserve on material. Now what I want to do is not forget my 2 little rectangles at the very top, because we are going to cut those out in the same material as the sign that I'm going to be finished today. So these 2 rectangles are going to be the same finished material as my backer board. So now I'm going to drag them into creative space or into our workspace, into the square that we've created. That's where our material is. I'm going to zoom in and let's see, make these, see how it's overlapping right here? I don't want that. So I'm going to select one of my rectangles. I'm going to drag it over, trying to make sure, you know, hold on. My grain is going up and down, so I want everything to go up and down. So I want to make sure that these right here, it's going to be tight, but I'm going to make sure that they all fit going up and down, because I don't want the grains in your wood, because you are going to be able to see it. You don't want them to go in opposite directions. At least I don't. I do not want. Sometimes when I create things and I make them into opposite directions, it drives me crazy at the end results. So I'm just going to make sure that all of my rectangles are going in the correct direction. When I'm done, the other things don't have material grains, so I'm not too concerned about it. It's just the natural wood that I am concerned about. Okay, making sure that it's going to be on my material. It is going to be tight. Let's just make it a little bit smaller, just so because like I said earlier, I don't only have a little bit of, I only have like three of these. I have 3 of the natural woods left over. I cannot waste anything right now. So I'm just going to make my entire sign smaller, just so I can ensure that it fits, and my wood grains are going to be going in the same direction, which they should. They should now. I'm good. I'm happy. Okay, now what we want to do before we move forward, we are going to be using our laser for this project. So you want to make sure that you're venting out of your window, or if you have an air filter, you want to make sure and use your air filter. But I have mine vented out of a window. I'm going to move these outside over here, just so there's no confusion. This is what we're going to cut and engrave and score right now. Now, if you wanted to triple check, because I'm all about triple checking, you want to make sure that black is set to cut and our cut settings are good. Red is set to score, and then blue is set to engrave. Everything is set to where it's supposed to be. All of my settings look good. Now what we want to do is press go to process. Power is set to 1 for 1 or more objects, which may affect the processing results. Do you want to continue? I'm assuming they're talking about the score. I'm just going to press continue, because it's okay if the score is set to 1, because I don't want it to be like a deep thing. Okay, now that we are at this screen, we want to make sure that our laser is put in, which it is. So now all you want to do is press start, making sure that your screen or your lid onto your xTool is turned off, or is shut, not turned off. Okay, now what you should do is just plug, sorry, I don't even know what I'm thinking. The front of your machine should have a blue light. When that's blinking blue, now what you want to do is press the silver button on your machine. Okay, now your machine is going to be doing all of its cuts. Oop, it's going to engrave right now. So this is going to take a total of 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Okay, so now that we have 15 minutes, sorry, I had to take a drink. Maybe that's why my brain is like not thinking correctly. It's because I'm thirsty. So now that we have 15 minutes, what do you want to chat about? Let me know. Because we have 15 minutes to figure out if this actually turned out good or not. Donna, I use that sun catchers when I cut the flex that lets me mass cut them over and over. Donna makes really cool sun catchers with some flex material. I'm pretty sure she's doing sublimation too. I could be wrong, but I think she's sublimating and cutting the flex. She has the P2 as well. She has the P2 and she just got the the M1 Ultra. But I figured out how to do my stained glass things right here. They look phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions about the M1 Ultra as we sit here and wait so impatiently for this to cut. Remember yesterday when we were going to cut, or not yesterday, last week when we were going to cut some acrylic and it was like going to take us 1 hour and 30 minutes to do all that? Heck no, that is definitely not going to be today. And because my window is open in my craft room, it's getting kind of hot, but the settings look really good. Yeah, I didn't even do any test settings or anything, and those look really good. Oh, I'm happy with those results. Okay, so I need to know if anyone is creating this file as I am. Did anyone do that, or are you just watching me create it, hoping that I do it right? So then I'm like your test guinea pig. Okay, what materials other than paper and wood have you printed on? I have done metal. I have done acrylic. I have done sublimation things. I have done ceramic coasters. I have done wood things like wood slices. Let's see here. On Friday. Yeah, it's on Friday. Friday, August 2nd. If you are subscribed to the membership for YouTube, you already have it live for, and Donna has already watched it. She, on Friday, it's already live. Technically, if you're a member, you can watch it. But on Friday, it's going to launch for everyone else. And that is where I show you my cool, nifty trick on how to print on acrylic. Because word on the street is that you can't print on acrylic. But if there's anything you need to know about me, is that I'm going to figure out, no one's going to tell me I can't. I'm going to figure it out myself if I can or cannot. Okay, Donna, I do sublimate, but not on the sun catchers. I purchased transparent flex background from Smoky Hills Design. I also cut 1/16 and 1/8 Baltic birch for door rounds and have a canvas for each. I need to look in the Smoky Hills Design. I know that you have said that last live that we had, that they sell like really good acrylics that work with diode lasers. I have tried to look at their website. I need to deep dive more. I found that their website was really confusing when you're trying to figure out what was for what. Ashley, can't print on acrylic, hold my cup. Amen. That is exactly, I'm like, if someone tells me no, good luck. But no, seriously, truly the only reason why I knew this, and I knew this really quickly, was because last December, October area, a laser company sent me one of their machines. I'm not going to tell you what machine it is, and I'm not going to tell you what company because it's really not even worth talking about. However, they do have, this machine has a printer attached to it similar to the M1 Ultra. However, it has a long ways to go. It's not worth talking about. So that's why I'm not going to tell you what machine it is or what company it is. But inside their, what, I don't even know what you would call it. Like, it's called like a creative brief is what they send you, like to the creators like myself. Like when you're testing out new materials or new machines or whatever, they like send you this like, hey, this is what you need to know. One of the things was like, if you notice bleeding on certain materials, you're going to need this stuff. And so I already knew it, and I already knew it from like back in October, November when I had that machine. It's the only thing I took away from that company was that little piece of knowledge. So then when I got the M1 Ultra sent to me, I was like, oh, I know exactly how to print on acrylic. Everyone's telling you can't. And I'm like, yeah, right. Because I was printing on acrylic in October and November with a totally different machine and a totally different company. But that machine it has a long ways to go. A long ways to go. It's nothing really to talk about. Okay, for diode laser safe, the products are highlighted yellow on their website. Okay, let's go into this right here. And let's go into the internet. Okay. So, in the internet, let's do Smoky Hills. Since we have time to dink around here. Okay, so if I'm here, and this is kind of where I got really confused, but Donna has talked a lot of great things about this place. I've never ordered from this place, but if there's one person I know that won't steer me wrong, it's Donna Manning. She is right there with me all the time. So what she says is if we go over into, let's go into pattern ply, if it's marked in yellow. For diode laser safe, the products are highlighted yellow on their website. Let's see. Oh, look, there's a Band-Aid on that. That's cute. I feel like I wish that they had like diode safe. Like in the drop-down box, it would say like diode safe. Okay, go to their acrylics. The Band-Aids are misfits and cost less. Okay, I don't want to go, I thought the Band-Aids were cute, but go to their acrylics and then let's do the black because I know black is diode safe. And I don't see anything that's yellow here. Black acrylic per sheet. I know black, you can cut with black. Their pricing for acrylic, $7.73 for a 12 by 19 sheet of acrylic. That's nice. That's a really good price. But your M1 Ultra, if you have an M1 Ultra, you can only do 12 by 12 sheets. So just keep that in mind. I don't see anything that is yellow. See, but on here, I did notice there was something, is it under the Help Center? Materials, if you go over into Help Center, and then click on this one right here, the material guide for diode lasers. This right here was pretty informative. I was reading it. And this is kind of where I wish it would be like, I don't know what the difference is between plywoods and then pattern core. So it would be nice if there was just like links to it. But they have a whole list of things you can and cannot cut. And then their, like what they would suggest purchasing differently. Solid white pattern or order our, okay, let's right click and press open a new tab. Oh, here we go, yellow on the pattern ply. So this is what Donna's saying. Everything that is yellow is the pattern ply, so, or is diode friendly. So do you see these right here? These are all diode friendly. This right here is diode friendly. Two-sided, one-sided. Okay. I don't know what the difference is between any of this. So this is where the solid white pattern ply would come into play. This would be, I see what you're saying now, Donna, where it's yellow is diode friendly. If you have the M1 Ultra, this is very important. You want to make sure that it's diode friendly. Okay, let's go back over into the machine, and we're going to look at how the machine is doing, because now we're done. We're done with the engraving. Those engravings look good. That looks so good. I didn't mask any of the wood. Generally, I mask all my wood, especially when it comes to the P2. What masking is, and I'm going to show you because I can see it already. LOL. I have only gotten the diode recently and I have not ordered yet. Their prices are pretty good too. It is cutting. So it is cutting, and I do see that there is a little bit of flashback or like smokiness. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to be able to fix that. But there, if you didn't want to fix that, what I do is I get a huge roll of this stuff right here. This is masking tape, paper masking tape. And I'm going to show you why we want to do that, because I already see the smokiness. We're going to be able to take that off with a little bit of sandpaper. But if you don't want to go the extra mile to sandpaper, getting yourself some of the paper masking tape, putting it on top of your wood, and making sure that it's nice and good and stuck on there. When we laser cut and engrave this, all that smokiness is going to be on your masking tape and not on your wood. So we're going to be, you just like peel it off and then it goes away, versus what we're going to have to do in a little bit, because I can see some charring, some smokiness. Maybe my settings were a little bit too high. I'm not entirely sure. They worked earlier for the same exact settings, but some of them are not very cute. It's okay. We're going to improve it. We're going to make sure that it's going to look phenomenal in the very end. But it is really quiet. Do you hear how quiet it is? My P2 is significantly louder than this, and my P2 is one of the quietest machines that I've ever owned. The Glowforge is like way louder than this, way louder. Okay, can you add a link for the masking tape you use? Yours looks way wider than mine. Sure thing, Donna. I totally will. Let me grab the link for you. Compared to the P2, it is very quiet. Very, very, very quiet. Masking tape. Where is it? Please tell me they still sell it. That would suck if they didn't. Laser stuff. Oh yeah, they still got it. Sweet. All right, I just added the link to the masking tape. This stuff right here. I always suggest getting masking tape, especially with the P2. I like to mask all my stuff. I live in a tourist area. I live in Myrtle Beach, and it is like a tourist trap. Everything here is touristy. You can never have a bored day here in Myrtle Beach when you live there. But the one thing that the hubs and I like to do, and what we've done before, is we've gone to like the other like touristy shop, the tchotchke shops, and we just try and like figure out like what is popular, what people are buying, and you know what the tchotchke places are selling. And there is this person that's local here, because it's a locally artist. They sell ornaments for like $1.25, but they don't mask them, and you can tell that they're on. For someone like me who has had a laser for so long, I could totally tell when things are masked and unmasked. Like the differences are phenomenal. It's crazy how you can start telling once you're like an experienced laser person. You kind of know. You can tell like what are we done? Let's go check it out. Let's check it out. It says we're done. Okay, before I just want to verify, because you know, I didn't do any cut tests with this. I normally do. Someone who only has two more sheets of this stuff, I normally do. Okay, my material is like locked into my bed, right? So it's not going to slide around, which is great because, oh, okay, good. I had good cut settings. We're good. Look at that. I was worried for nothing. Okay. Do you see? And it's like it's not terrible. Maybe you're not going to see it. But do you see this right here? How it's a little bit darker than the rest of the wood? It's going to be, let's try it. I'm going to be able to show it to you better on this one. See how it's like darker right here versus like up here? If we had masking tape on here, you would be able to peel the masking tape off and that wouldn't be there. So, wait, excuse me, hold on here. We're gonna put this in. Oh my gosh, this is why I pinned this down into place, because you know what we're missing? We're missing our score lines. Okay, so because everything is pushed in down and I didn't like move my material anywhere, I'm gonna show you a cool nifty trick. Now that I sitting here looking at it like, wait a minute, I'm missing my score lines in my stuff. Okay, so I'm just gonna move these out of the way because I don't need them. I don't need them to be here. This is the benefit of clamping down your material into that, because I just nicely picked this up and my material didn't slide. I noticed that I'm missing something, right? I'm gonna put it back into place. Okay, we're gonna shut the lid to this machine, making sure to shut the lid. We are going to go into xTool's program and I'm going to press complete. Okay, I am going to delete everything but my score lines. So I'm going to delete these two things up here. You can delete them. You can move them out of your screen. Do whatever you want. I'm going to move this out of the way. Move it out of here because I don't need to recut anything. I'm going to move my engraves out of the way because I don't need to re-engrave anything. I'm also going to move these right here and move those out of the way. So what is going to be left is the things that I wanted to score. You could also right click and press ignore, but I'm just going to move things out of the way. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, cool. Such a cool machine. I'm setting a goal to get one. Yes, Christine, get one. Seriously. I love having a laser. Any laser I love having. We are going to make this, let's just make this a little bit more. What does xTool did not give me a setting for score. They only gave me a engraving and cut. They didn't give me a setting for score. Let's check, let's click on a material. We'll do this one and press confirm. I don't know. And we're going to go click on here. It says score at 70 to 100. Okay, we're going to try it. We're going to hope that it's going to turn out good. That's what we're going to do. Okay, I did not move anything else outside of this stuff we don't need. All the score things, I left them exactly in place. And the reason for that is because when we cut this out originally, we clamped everything in, like down into spot. So when I took that out, I didn't like wiggle anything around. I am going to trust the fact that it is going to be still in the same spot as it was earlier, because it was. And then I'm just going to press go to process. I don't have to do anything because I'm just wanting those score lines in there so I know where to glue my stuff. And then I'm going to press start. And then I'm going to go over into my xTool. The button at the front should be blue, so I'm just going to press the silver button. And now, okay, now my lines are scoring. Ta-da! It is going to be scoring in the correct spot because you clamped your material down. If you don't clamp your material down, I wouldn't suggest doing this, just because you don't want to ruin the board. So at this point, since we messed up on this technically, I would just go on a hope and a prayer and align these back up. I wouldn't recut a whole sign. I would just at this point just put the new squares and rectangles that we're going to cut down later, eyeballing it, making sure that everything is nice and centered, hopefully for you. But for me, because I clamped my material down, we didn't have to do that, which is great. And everything is moving so quick. Okay, it is done. Okay, now that it's done, you're going to hear the fan still blowing. When the fan is still blowing, what it's doing is it's taking out all the additional smoke that's inside your laser, and it's taking it out. You could technically open up your lid when the fan is still going. However, when you do that, the air, that smoky air, is going to come back to you. So if you wait until the fan gets done sucking and stops, then you're going to have less smoke in your craft room. That being said, it kind of smells like a campfire right now. Okay, all of our lines are in my thing, looking good, perfect. I'm going to be able to line everything up here in a second when we go to cut all of that, but this looks really good. The back looks good, the front looks good, everything looks good. Okay, now what we want to do is to put in the next material. Our next material is going to be the dry erase board that I purchased from, I'm pretty sure I got this at Lowe's. Maybe I got it at Home Depot. I'll give you a link to it, because if you don't have the 20-watt laser, you're going to need to use the dry erase board, because my 10-watt laser does not cut white acrylic. So if you had a 20-watt, then you would be able to cut this on white acrylic, but I'm going to be using this stuff. It's MDF core, dry erase on top, chalkboard on the back. So it has dual purpose. But you're going to see that there's like a lot of charring. I'm not going to mask this, because technically with this stuff, it just like, I use a Clorox wipe and then I wipe off all the charring to ensure that everything is going to be lined up, you know, just like what we did earlier. We're going to make sure that this is clamped down so it doesn't move around a lot. Okay, for a material like this, what you want to do, because one, the M1 Ultra does not have a camera, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use our phone. You could discard it. You could do the mark area where we did all those little nodes, but like, do you see this piece? This piece right here is a little wild, right? It looks a little hard to figure out where. That would be a lot of little nodes. The easiest way to do this is just go to Add to Project, New Project. We're going to go to Snapshot Preview and press Snapshot Preview. Oops. What are we doing? That'll work. Okay. Then what I want to do is take a picture parallel of my machine. There is going to be these 4 dots on here. You want to make sure that all 4 dots are in your picture when you do it. Now when we're here and we have that picture, what you want to do is press Send to Computer. Okay. This is going to pop up. I have a more in-depth tutorial about this on my channel, just so you don't feel like you're lost in this when you're doing it, because I went really fast. So just know there is like a full tutorial about this, and I show you how to like perfect engravings and stuff like that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, taking my phone, I am going to go to Obtain Background, and this QR code is going to pop up. I'm going to take my phone and I'm just going to put it in front of that QR code. Okay, this right here is our live preview of what is in our xTool. I'm going to take out all of this right here because I've already cut this, and I'm going to move this over to the side. What I'm going to be using for this whiteboard material is going to be these rectangles and squares that are right here. Let me see, Elaine, what did you use for your pins to hold down the material? Those pins come with the honeycomb tray, which the magnets on that are absolutely amazing. They are like, they make sure it's really sucked on there. Okay, so the things that why didn't the lines score? Because it was set to a too low of power, which if you remember, or if you were here, when I did press start originally, the machine told me, hey, it's not going to do anything. And I said, it's fine, I'm only gonna score this. And actually the machine was telling me, yo, bonehead, go back. Put some real settings on here because you're not gonna get anything, which ended up happening. Okay, so for the whiteboard material, I'm gonna put my squares and rectangle on. The great part about this camera feature that's on the app is that I'm gonna be able to put these wherever I want, making sure that they're on my material. The accuracy of this camera, as long as you have it calibrated correctly, is chef's kiss. There's no fishbowl. I have the P2 in the lens. The camera that's in the P2 is like a fishbowl lens. This is like straight on. So I'm gonna be able to like put this in precise precision, okay? Okay, for this cut, we are gonna cut this out. If you're using the same material as me, where in the world is my, oop, I fell on the ground. I gotta grab my chicken scratch paper because I was testing out cuts for this. So if you're gonna be using the same material as me, what you wanna do is change this cut. So we're gonna click on this black swatch that's right here. We are gonna change this over to 100 power, 5 speed, 2 passes. The passes mean how many times the machine is going to cut. So it's gonna go once, like let's say it's gonna cut this rectangle. It's gonna cut it once and then it's gonna go back again and it's gonna cut it again the second time. You're gonna want this. Don't not do the passes because I had it at 100 power and 1 speed and it charred my, I don't know where it went, but it charred my piece of wood. So you wanna make sure that these settings, higher speed, more passes for this one, okay? Just to ensure that we have proper distance of our head, because the material that I'm using for the dry erase is a different thickness than the plywood that we just cut. What you want to do is head over to your machine and we are going to drag our head onto our material, just like what we did earlier when we autofocus. Same thing. You want to make sure and shut your lid, and then we want to press the cool little ruler on the software, and the machine is just going to do the autofocus thing where it drops into place and then it's going to come back up. Okay, now that we're done doing that, everything should work. You want to make sure that everything is locked in place, just because like what we did for the plywood, my score lines didn't work, you know what I mean? So we just want to ensure that everything's locked in place, because if it doesn't work, we're going to be able to reprocess this and not waste material, okay? Then what you want to do is just press go to process, and we just want to press start. It says it's going to take, I don't remember how long it took. I went too fast. Okay, going over into the xTool on the front of your machine, it should have the blue light blinking. You just want to press the silver button. You want to make sure that you're venting out of your window or your filter. Because we've already used the, oh, it's going to take 9 minutes. That's okay. That's all right. Because you're already vented out through your window by cutting this thing, you should still be venting. So we shouldn't have a problem with venting. But you always want to make sure and vent out. Don't not vent. Okay, where is my sandpaper? All right. I didn't grab sandpaper because I wasn't anticipating to have to sand anything, but I'm committed to not having a poopy looking sign. So I am going to sand. So this has a little bit of the charring, scorch mark to them, a little bit of smokiness to them, soot. Is that what you call it? I'm just going to take a little bit of sandpaper and I'm going to sand off the nasty. This is why I like using the masking tape instead, is because I don't have to do this. I also have my, I don't know where it's at, my little Dremel tool that I use to make like crock gibbets and stuff. That thing right there, you can use that because it has a sanding block too. I don't know where it's at. I can't see it. It's not like right in front of my face. Okay, but let me show you. I'm going to be able to show it to you better here. Okay, this right here is I sanded. This right here I did not. So if I were to have masked it, this is essentially what it would look like. Because I didn't mask my wood, you're going to have that smoky sootness that's right here. So way to combat that is just to mask your wood, or we can just use sandpaper like what I did, and we are just going to sand it to make it look really good. This is what you want it to look like. This is what you don't want it to look like. This right here, you just want to knock off with a little bit of sandpaper. And I mean, that only took me like a couple seconds. You know what I mean? It didn't take me long to like knock it off. But we're gonna just doing the second one. Since we're waiting for the machine to cut, we might as well just be busy doing something else, you know? Okay. Now, this sign that I'm making, I personally am going to be using, holy cow, my nose. The sign that I'm going to make is interchangeable. That's what we both made, right? There are two ways to go about doing this. You could, if you have little Velcro circles, you could use Velcro circles and put like the Velcro circles here on this spot that's right here, and then you would put the other side of the Velcro circles. The sawdust is in my nose. You would want to put them here. I'm going to be using magnets right here. These little baby magnets right here. They are nice, tiny, and small. I'm weary when it comes to selling things on Etsy, especially for something that is like a kid that's holding it. If you plan on selling these, because I know that there are girls that follow me and that are watching this that are going to be wanting to sell these signs for legality reasons, because I would hate for anyone to like get in trouble or something. Selling kids stuff is like dangerous, but it kind of opens the doors up for like things to happen, bad things to happen. I would not use magnets. This is not what I would do. If I was selling this, I would not use magnets. Just a CYA. I would do Velcro. I would definitely do little Velcro circles. Magnets can cause a whole wide range of health issues if some kid decided to, boop, boop, you know. So if it were me and I was making this to potentially sell to somebody else, don't use magnets, use Velcro. But I am using magnets. So what I'm going to do is take a couple out. Oop, and they're really, mine are really strong. My goodness gracious. Okay, just like this. I got two here and two here. I find that the slower speed burns. Yes, slower speeds do burn, which is why I upped it. If you did faster speed, more passes, that would help too. It looks like we're doing pretty good. I tested my settings before I perfected these. I always say that it's a good starting point. I was not giving settings from xTool. They didn't give me any type of settings to use. So this was like a hope and a prayer type situation for me. Okay, I am going to use this glue right here. I am not going to get into the gist of why I use this glue, but just know that I use Multi-Grab 360, not E6000. And if you use E6000, I sure hope that you don't use E6000 anymore. Grab yourself this stuff right here. It's just the same, just not toxic. Won't hurt you. And then you don't need a whole lot. The peel and stick magnets that are more flat and tend to be safer than the magnet rounds. You could use 3 nice wide strips of magnets across the back. I mean, I do have peel and stick magnets, like printable magnet in there. You could use that. I am just so weary when it comes, like the last thing I want is to get sued by anyone. that's straight facts. So I try really hard not to get sued. So so magnets is one of those things. There was like this company that was selling magnets of some sort, not like a big brand. Poof. You know what happened? They went out of business because some kid stuck the magnet in their mouth and then got, and then they went out of business. I don't remember what it was, but yeah. I just put a dab of glue on each little corner and put my magnet in place. There's 2 right there. See that? Okay. I'm going to let my glue dry. When my glue dries, I'm going to then take my magnets off and I'm going to put them on the backs of my sign. This is just going to make sure that my magnets are nice put in place on there. Okay, what's the glue called? I'll link it for you because it's like the best glue ever. It is alternative to E6000. So if you are used, hello, what's going on here? My computer is like having a fit. If you're used to having E6000, this is going to be your alternative. Oh, I see. And it's non-toxic, which is great. It's my jam. I love being non-toxic. And then multi-grab. Sorry, I'm just trying to grab the link so you can grab it because it is seriously the best of the best. It doesn't give me a headache. It smells like rubbing alcohol. And a lot of people, when they use it, it smells like wine to them. I don't know. Yeah, maybe wine, like Chardonnay. I'm not a wine drinker. I cannot stand wine. Give me a margarita, a pina colada, daiquiri, something, but wine, heck no. So this right here is going to be your alternative to E6000. The great thing about this is 1, it's non-toxic, but 2, it, you know that lingering odor that happens with E6000? It's not like that with this stuff. It like goes away. So it does smell like wine. It's not very strong. I mean, hello, I just sniffed it. But it goes away. So technically what happens is when you're using E6000, it like continues to emit poisons and gas. That's what that smell is. So just keep that in mind. But that's it. That's all I want to talk about. I don't want to get too far into that whole poison thing. Okay, it's done cutting. We are going to take our little pick. Just like what we did earlier, I'm just going to ensure that everything cut good because if it didn't, we're going to have to recut this. But you can see that like I'm just going to pick these out. See how they're coming out? Perfect. And I'm not going to try and touch the sides of them because, look, there is one thing to know about being a laser crafter is that your fingers are going to look charred most of the time. Every single time I'm done laser crafting, my fingers smell so gross. Okay, so we're going to take those, move those off to the side, but then we are going to open this up, take these clampy things out because everything cut. And this right here we can throw away or save for scraps, whatever. Okay, I am going to use some black acrylic. This is just scrap acrylic I have. Put this down into place and doing the same thing as we've done before, we are going to clamp this into place. And then grabbing my phone because have another piece of material that has some cutouts onto it. I'm going to cut my son's name out on black acrylic and I want to avoid these so I don't update now. No, I don't want to update. Who updates things? My husband, but not me. It drives him crazy. Okay, we are here. Ooh, you can see that I was engraving a tumbler recently. Okay, going into snapshot preview. Snapshot preview again. Oops, hello. Okay, taking a picture, making sure that we got all 4 corners, making sure it's parallel. Okay, this is the live preview. Go to send to computer, and back at the computer, we want to press complete, and let's zoom out. We're going to move these boxes. We don't need them anymore. We're going to move them out of the way. Okay. I want to remove this. This square right here was our original square from our original sign that we cut out. I'm just going to delete it. So let's go over here into the mark and we're going to delete it, confirm. I'm going to go to obtain background. Same thing as before. I'm going to take my phone and scan that QR code that's on my screen. Okay. When that's done, this is going to be the live preview that is in my xTool. All right. Now what I want to do is first we need to make sure that we have it properly distanced again, autofocus. I would like to note that you don't have to do this if you are using the same material every single time. So let's say you did 3 of these signs. You don't have to, and it's the same material, you don't have to do this autofocus every single time that you do the same material. It's only because I'm switching materials. I'm going from from whiteboard material to the plywood to acrylic. You always want to make sure that like we have the perfect settings. So then what we're going to do is go back over into the xTool. Same thing as what we've done before. Just putting that little dot over the top anywhere. It doesn't matter where, but it needs to be on your material. So you can put it anywhere you want. Just want to put it on your material and then shut the lid. Going back over into your program, you just want to press this little arrow or ruler thing again. It's going to do some auto focusing. It was at 0.976 and now it's at 0.988. Not a huge difference, but it definitely did change. That does change the quality of cuts, just to keep that in mind. Okay. Now what we need to do is put in our very last thing that we're going to cut, which is going to be this right here. And I'm just going to rotate this. Where am I going to put this? I want to put this like to where I don't waste material. Over here. Okay, for acrylic, I got my handy dandy note right here that I noted myself. And for black acrylic, we are going to do 100 power, 2 speed, and 2 passes. That's what we're going to do for black acrylic. I am going to tell you that before we get started on acrylic, I mean, I know that this is going to cut because we did this previously. So I know that my settings are going to be good settings because we did like figure this out in a previous video. But I want you to be mindful if you are unsure about the settings that you're using. And then always remember, acrylic is flammable. So you know the same thing when we were talking about the magnets, and I was like, be careful with the magnets. You don't want to get sued. Acrylic is very flammable. It's plastic and it will go up in flames. I do know of another creator that was cutting acrylic, and she had a fire inside of her laser. And if she wasn't paying attention, she would have therefore burnt her house down. So acrylic is one of the most flammable materials that you will use. So you just want to make sure that you're paying attention. That means that we're not going to walk away from our laser. We are going to pay attention to it when we're cutting, just to make sure that everything is going smoothly. The great thing about the M1 Ultra is, and we did find this out when I was doing the unboxing live of it, is that the M1 Ultra has like a really cool safety feature that if it detects a flame, it automatically stops cutting. So that is the great benefit to this. But just in case, I don't want you to burn your house down or your craft room or anything like that. We want to be safe, okay? All right, so going back over into the program, all we want to do is press go to process and then press start. Never, never walk away from your laser, says Sharon, and that is the truth, especially when it comes to acrylic. Sometimes people just get, like lazy in their ways and they, walk away. And I would hate for you to have an issue because you walked away. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. We sent it to the M1 Ultra. So we're going to press the silver button at the front of the machine. Now my M1 Ultra is going to cut my black acrylic. It's going to do 2 passes, just like it did with the whiteboard. Earlier, oops. Sorry. Okay, it says 13 minutes, which sounds like a really long time, but it already cut once. Anyway, I'm just going to let it do its thing. Okay, it looks like it's cutting and it's cutting good, so I like that. What I'm going to do is I am going to take, since we are babysitting our machine, is I'm going to take my Clorox wipes and also my whiteboard pieces, and I'm going to clean them up right here because I want to make sure we're going to monitor this, right? I'm going to do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to say and do the same thing, just so you don't think that that I'm going to be doing something differently than what I say. So we're going to take our whiteboard pieces. The great thing about whiteboard, I did talk about masking our wood and why it's so important to mask our wood. However, when it comes to this right here, I never mask it. And the reason for that is just taking a Clorox wipe, you're going to be able to wipe off all of that like soot that's on there. That is the benefit of using this type of material. The other thing too is that it's chalkboard on the back, but this is the closest to acrylic that you're going to be able to get that's not acrylic, and it's white, right? So when I get done cleaning this and we're done cutting all of this, I will link it for you just because it's really nice. Would like to note though that this stuff right here is going to get sold to you in a 2 foot by 4 foot piece, and that you are going to have to cut down with, you can get it cut down, a 2 foot by 4 foot piece, you can get it cut down at your hardware store. Or if you have a saw at home, you can do that too. I put my pieces like in my xTool. This piece right here, is that? Oh no, I was like, what in the world is that? It was just really stuck on there. But I just wiped it off. So, and my fingers are getting nasty, but that's okay. We're just gonna, magic eraser definitely helps too. I know a lot of people use a magic eraser. Those you have to like have water nearby, and I live for a Clorox wipe. I love the smell of Clorox wipes, so I'm just gonna use a Clorox wipe. But if you had like a magic eraser or just a rag that has water on it, a baby wipe, I'm sure all those things would work. If you are cleaning up your edges of acrylic, do not use alcohol because alcohol will dry your acrylic up and then start cracking it. So just keep that in mind if you are doing the same type of thing with your acrylic. Okay, so we are going to just clean this up. We're almost done with this. Okay. Oh, but yeah, looks nice and clean. Okay, now that we're still waiting for that to we're still waiting for this to cut. It's looking really good. It's cutting really good, but we're going to work on top of it. And for acrylic or wood, what I like to use lately, there has been 2 things that I've been using that I absolutely love. One of which is, this is the newest stuff that I've been using, Maker's Magic. I've been using this on gluing my acrylics together, because acrylic and wood, and even my wood projects, but especially with acrylic, because, hold on, let me show you. This wouldn't really come into factor for the M1 Ultra, only because you can't cut clear acrylic with your M1 Ultra, but like Donna, you have a P2, so you're going to be able to use this stuff. But the biggest and hardest thing that a lot of crafters are looking for is a glue that will dry completely clear. And so what I did was I took 3 pieces of acrylic and I cut them out and then I glued them. This is like a shaker thing. I just put a little bit of glitter just to show you that it holds. But I used this glue and I glued it all together, and it is 100% clear. So it's a really good alternative to if you're looking for something that dries completely clear for clear on clear application. So you could use this for that, or this right here is my silicone based glue. I use this for, obviously I'm going to use it for wood. I'm going to use it for acrylic too. I also use this glue for gluing shaker cake toppers, cardstock cake toppers, the plastic, that acetate. I glue all that together. I rebottle it into something like this just because I get like more precision on the glue versus the actual bottle. But I didn't put the lid at the very top, so it's like halfway dry down in the bottle. Come on. This glue's like, I don't want to be used. Okay. Now, the great part about these score lines, remember we worked hard for these score lines? Oh my gosh, what is going on? That's completely dried. So I'm just going to get the full, since we're not doing any precision crafting, I'm just going to get the actual bottle because I'm done messing with it. Okay, so the importance of those score lines that we worked so hard for is that now I'm not going to have to really focus on where in the world I'm gluing these. I'm just going to squeeze some glue out on the back of my chalkboard thing, and I'm going to put it inside my rectangle, that scored rectangle, laying it in there, making sure that it's going to be lined up into my rectangle. So I don't want to see the score lines. We're going to go to this next one. Just a little bit of glue. This stuff is silicone based. I don't know if you're going to see it, but it will have those like little stringy things just like hot glue. You want to make sure and just get those off before you glue your piece down because you don't want the glue strings on your piece. Next one. Boop, boop. And then I just like twist it, just kind of like if you're making cotton candy. Okay. Next one. We're almost done. And we're going to line them up inside those square score lines. Perfect. Everything's cutting really good over there too. No fire, which is great. Okay. So now that I've cut most of that name out and we've had no flames, no fire, no nothing, I'm going to trust it a little bit, and I'm going to finish gluing this. I'm going to go sit back down at my desk. And I'm right here. I am like 5 steps away from my machine, which is, if I see a flame, smell a flame, anything like that, I'm like right here. But this is now drying, so I wouldn't manipulate, because you see how I picked it up and now my squares are falling? Okay, you want to keep this at a flat level to make sure things don't start sliding on you, because you definitely don't want things to slide. Okay? And I'm going to just drag this just like this over to my desk and have a seat. And we're waiting. What do we got? We got 13. Oh, we got about 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes until it's done cutting. But, ooh, make sure these are nice, and I want to make sure that they're nice and straight. So this glue that I'm using, the silicone glue, it takes about 24 hours to dry. I always tell everyone, like, if you are using a length of glue, just because if you want to get it, but it's the, it takes 24 hours to dry, which, let me see, what is this called? All-purpose. Technically, it's a lot quicker than that. I would say about 12 hours. I don't want to, I'm like, scratch my face weird because my hands are dirty. But Technically, it could be done in like 12 hours, a little bit less than that. However, I would not, if you were mailing this off or giving this to somebody or something like that, I would wait the full 24 hours before giving it off to somebody. The Maker's Magic stuff, that I'm pretty sure it's dry within an hour. It dries really, really quickly. Okay, so the silicone glue, I linked. The Maker's Magic is the liquid, that liquid stuff. It's like Mod Podge. It's like the best Mod Podge ever. Kind of pricey, but I've found so many wonderful uses for it. So it's the best Mod Podge. What do they call it? Decoupage. This is Maker's Magic. Okay, what I just sent over was the Maker's Magic. The silicone glue, which is the first one that I linked, is going to be this. I use this for paper crafting and for the acetate. I use it to glue my acetate, or if I'm using like a wood cake stick or acrylic cake stick, I use this for that because it will glue all of that together. I don't use it like to glue all of my cardstock projects. This stuff will last you a really long time. You don't need a whole lot. I put them in bottles like this. I think the issue is I did not put the cap back on. It's not clogged, but I think the glue is dry. I think the glue is dry in there because it doesn't want to come down. Kind of like, I don't know. It doesn't want to come out, but it's definitely like you can squeeze it. There's nothing going on. It's just not coming down. So this right here, the silicone glue, is what I use for paper crafts, and the acetate, acrylic cake sticks, wood cake sticks, and then the Maker's Magic I have been using to glue clear on clear together. I've been using it for a lot of other things, but that would essentially, if we're going to be like laser focused, it would be acrylics. My stained glass that I use, I also use Maker's Magic. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, does anyone have any? Alcohol will cause the acrylic to crack. It will. Love Maker's Magic. I am so glad that there are other people that love Maker's Magic too, because I used it for the first time making, I don't even have them because they're in my living room, but I used Maker's Magic to make photo coasters. I used like the cheapest photo copy paper. I called it computer paper in a video, and there was like a whole bunch of people like, what's computer paper? I'm like, the cheap copy paper, printer paper, I don't know, the thinnest of stuff. Anyways, I put that on ceramic coasters and I put the Maker's Magic on top. They get used every single day in my living room and they are holding up. And I made those months ago, like February, March. I made them March. I think it's like March. But anyways, I made those and they look so good. Still look so good, and I use them every day. They are holding up, which is amazing. Let's see here. Never walk away from your, I'm going to say that again. Sharon, never walk away from your laser. That is the truth. And let's see. We're looking good. Those cuts look really good. So for this part of the name, what I'm going to use is the Maker's Magic stuff because I have been loving the huge difference between the two and why I'm going to be using Maker's Magic. So with my acrylic is, and it's done. It's done. Look at that. It's complete, 13 minutes. Okay, so let's just press complete on my xTool. We're going to go over to the machine, open it up, and we are going to take this out. We're going to use this. Remember, it's clamped down, so if it didn't cut, it should have, because we have like missing holes in our letters. But if it didn't, we could reprocess it. So I'm just going to use my like little pick. We're going to pull these out. Look, and they're coming out. Perfect. Oh, and like crispy edges. Ooh, I like that. Crispy, crispy, crispy edges. Okay. All right. we have this all cut. Let's just take these out. Bloop. Okie dokie. And there is the rest of the letters to our name. Let's go take them back to the craft table. We are done with the xTool and the program. Oops, I pressed start on my computer. I don't want start. I want complete. There we go. We are done with the xTool. Yay! Okay, I know this isn't laser related, but can you link the other glue you use for cardstock? Like actual cardstock glue, the precision craft glue that I use, I can do that for you if that's what you're looking for. Precision craft glue. Hold on. Let me get it for you. Yes. Okay. I'm getting it for you right now. This stuff right here is what I use for everything cardstock related. There you go. Okay, that, if you notice that practically every single glue I use today is Super Tight branded, that's not by, that is by design. So Brian, he is the owner of Super Tight, and he's actually a really cool guy. He was an Olympian. I don't even know if he wants me to tell that to anybody, but back in his early days, he was an Olympian skier. I believe he skied. But anyway, he worked for the Olympic Committee for many years. He owns Super Tight. And the one thing that he loves, like he's all about this, is making sure that all the glue that he creates is all non-toxic. So like he has an epoxy, which a lot of people are using epoxy. A lot of crafters use epoxy, and most epoxies are very toxic for you, and you need to be wearing like full-on poison masks and stuff like that, and like garments and stuff. I know crafters aren't doing that, so you're hurting yourselves, which whatever, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If you don't know, you don't know, right? So like most epoxies that are on the market, like the cheapest ones that you get at Dollar Tree, those are probably be the worst. This stuff is, his epoxy that he has, his 2-part epoxy, is like the best of the best. Non-toxic. I sat in a room with it to bling out a tumbler using the epoxy and did not have like any headaches or anything like that. That's because it's non-toxic. No fumes, nothing. I freaking love it. But okay, so before I glue the name, what I did is I just took my sandpaper. I don't want to show it to you, so I'm gonna have to like lift it. But I took my sandpaper and knocked off some of that soot that's on the side of my sign, just because it was there because we didn't mask the wood. But I'm just doing the same thing I did with the smaller rectangles. Just did that. Respirators, that's the name. Elizabeth is keeping me on with that. Yes, that's the word I was using for. Most crafters aren't using respirators. They're not using like the big, huge, like, you know, the Monsters Inc. people, when they wear like the yellow, you know, when the guy like gets the sock on the back and they like run and they're like, oh my gosh, and they have to like hose them off, shave them, you know, that suit. Anyways, they're not using it. Okay, you sent me a code for 20% off a Celebration Warehouse. Pray for me and my debit card. Get it, girl? Hazmat outfit. Yes. Yes. Make sure if you aren't signed up for my emails for my cardstock warehouse, you want to sign up for those emails, because there are times where like I only do discount codes to email subscribers. It is like my favorite thing, sending out cute little emails. I don't do them often. I need to start, but I don't. But when I do, most of the time, it is with a discount code. Okay. I am going to be using one of these weeding tool picks. They are your best friend. technically they're for vinyl. That's what I get them from Tech Wrap, and they say to use them for vinyl. I use them for vinyl, but also to peel the masking tape off of acrylic because it's the worst. Peeling masking tape on acrylic is the worst. And this one right here, the needle is bent. I need another one. I have like 8 of them. Okay. I love my pen tool. Yes, it is. My emails are not spammy at all. Yeah, it's because I don't have time to be spammy. I'm like stretched way too thin. If I'm sending out an email, it's because I want to send an email out. I'm like, oh, it's time to send an email out. Let me send one out. No, I so am not. My open rate, I would have to say for my emails is really high just because I hardly send them out. So when I do send them out, it's like I have something to say. You know what I mean? Okay. Want to make sure that I was like struggling with pulling my masking tape off my acrylic. And that's because my needle was bent. If you have a straight needle, you're not going to struggle with pulling off your masking tape. I'm almost done with my son's name, pulling it off. Sometimes I only do the backside and then let my acrylic dry after it's done gluing, and then I go back in and I glue and I peel off the masking tape. This is black, and so black is a little bit more forgiving than all the rest of the acrylic. So just see how dirty my hands are? If you are new to acrylic or laser crafting, you will know that you're going to find out quickly that your fingers are going to be nasty and they're going to smell. So right now, like my fingers kind of smell a little bit like a nail salon and also a campfire. Okay. With the Maker's Magic stuff, which is right here, you could use matte, you could use gloss. I'm going to use gloss just because it's right here. My matte, ooh, wait. Whoa. My cart is missing a wheel. And it is falling off. Okay, I'm gonna let it go. I'm missing a wheel on my cart. It fell off. Okay, so wait, does this work? No, this is clogged. I did put Maker's Magic in this small little bottle, but it is also clogged. And will this fit inside the hole? Because if this does, ooh. Okay, just remembered. I had this right here. It's filled with Maker's Magic. I put this together, put it in here. So now I don't need the paintbrush. I was going to use a paintbrush and just dip it in the Maker's Magic, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to start at the left. I'm left-handed, so I have to do everything a different direction as most crafters. Okay, I am just going to put a little bit of glue down onto the back of my acrylic letter, and I'm going to turn it around and put it into place. Okay, so what I was saying earlier, and I know I did not finish my sentence, the reason why I am going to be using this Maker's Magic stuff versus using my silicone glue is because the silicone glue is a little bit thicker in like it's a thicker type of glue. So when you lay this down, what happens is sometimes is like if you use too much glue, it'll go out of your letters. If you had a pick and you're quick at it, you could just like scrape it off and then it won't be there. But to avoid any of that, all I'm going to do is just use the Maker's Magic. Do you get these little bottles on Amazon? I do. I do. It's like my most favorite things. I'll link the ones that I get because they are amazing. But just look at like syringe bottles. I repurpose all of my glue that way. Outside of the cardstock glue, I don't want to touch my cart because my cart is currently on 3 wheels and it's leaning. But like all of my glue, you'll notice is rebottled, and my fabric glue and all of my glue is all rebottled. Besides my precision craft glue is precise enough. I don't need to rebottle that. But this right here is, yes. And I have the smallest little needle on here because this stuff is the Maker's Magic stuff is very liquidy. So, ooh. Is it really 2 o'clock? Oh my word. I just looked at the time and I'm like, oh, okay, it's 2 o'clock. Okay, we're gonna put that in here. My husband today said, how long are you gonna be on a live? I said 1 hour. 2.5 hours later, because I was like, I heard the lawnmower because he's mowing the lawn. He's been waiting for me to get done. He was probably like, yeah, she ain't getting done in an hour. Whoops. Okay. Time flies when you're having fun. That's right. I rebottle a little bit of my UV resin for working on a few earrings. It hardened in 1 day. So if you're going to rebottle UV resin, you want to make sure that you don't leave it in the clear bottle. Wrap it in like a black vinyl or something to where the UV lights, because like even regular lights have a little bit of UV to them. Just the sunlight that comes out through your window will also do it. So if you're going to rebottle UV resin, you're going to want to make sure that you put like black over the back around the entire thing so no UV light hits it. Okay, we are almost done. I cannot believe it's already 2:20, 2:30. My goodness gracious. Okay, so let's see here. So just to verify, you are using the Maker's Magic to glue the acrylic. I am. This right here is this Maker's Magic gloss inside this bottle, fine tip, and I am just gluing the back. This stuff will dry within the hour. It says on here, let me finish gluing my name. Okay, it says on here that it's dry within an hour with a full cure time of 48 hours. So the full cure time, I feel like that is like to be eaten off of, like if you were going to eat this. But it is dry within the hour. Okay. I am done. And hopefully it doesn't slide on me too much, but there you go. Did you see it? I want to make sure it doesn't like move around. So we got our magnets already glued into place. Now I did tell you that the 360 stuff that I used takes 24 hours to dry. I think because it's warm enough in my craft room, I probably could take the magnets off and glue them to the back of my little things. However, I'm not going to because I don't want to have to redo that and like mess my sign up. So later, after this is dry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those magnets off and I'm going to glue them onto the backs of my two pieces of this. First day, last day, little things. So then it makes it an interchangeable sign. But that will have to be done later, like tomorrow, because I can't do it today. But outside of that, let's see. And actually, you know, I said it would like takes like an hour to dry, and those letters for the name are already pretty stuck on there. So this is it, finished, all finished. And then tomorrow I'll be able to glue those, and we'll have first, and then we'll be able to take this and do the last. That's it, finished sign, interchangeable sign that you made for free in xTool, which is the most amazing part. And you exported that SVG and you can use it anywhere. So even if you don't have an xTool, you could have used your Glowforge if you had a Glowforge to cut it out. You know what I mean? All right, does anyone have any questions for me? Because I'm done 2.5 hours later. It's because I'm chatty. Now, when you think about watching my videos, just know that my videos, my recording times are just as long. But I have been told that 20-minute videos are like the great time And so I like to keep them there. I got a lot of editing to do. That's what I've always like look at my record times. I'm like 3 hours, and then I have to record it down to 20 minutes. So that's my gist of everything. You get me in live form, and I'm just going to talk your ear off. Hopefully my voice is not annoying for you. Donna, spending the last 2 hours with you made me feel better. I hope you feel better. And it was Donna's birthday over the weekend, and she has been spending it in bed because she has gotten COVID, and that is like not a good way to spend her birthday at all. So, bummer. And she also got the M1 Ultra that she hasn't been able to play with because she's been sick. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, feel better, Donna. And I'm so glad that I made you feel better. I don't mind 2 hours because you break everything down. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like sometimes I feel like I talk too fast. Sometimes I'm like, is this too much? Is this not enough? I don't even know. So hopefully, I love getting the feedback that I do break everything down like really good, because I don't want someone to leave my video going, oh, what? Every single button I press gets put into my videos. It's just whether or not you get the extra fluff that's in there. That's what these lives are for. Which, by the way, I've been loving it. So I did say over on my Instagram, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be doing the lives all the time. I'm just testing it out to see like if others like it. Do you like the lives? Do you not like the lives? And I feel like the feedback is that y'all like the lives. So I feel like I'm going to be doing lives more often. Now for next week, I have something in store for next week already, but I kind of want to like get your feel on it. Do you want, and you're going to have to let me know, do you want another xTool video, or do you want a Canva video? xTool or Canva? xTool or Canva? What are we doing? If we're doing a Canva video, it is going to be for the Canva Pro edition. So let me know, because those two things, laser videos and Canva videos right now, have been like really trending on my channel. So that's where we're going. I feel like everyone's stepping away from Cricut very quickly. Like they are moving and grooving right out of Cricut. Canva. xTool. Oh, we got, okay. I'm sorry, Leah, but I think that you're going to be outvoted because you're the only xTool person on, oh, there's 2 xTools. Oh, the xTools, I think you have to have a poll. I don't even know, how do I do a poll? I don't know how to do a poll here. Oh, here we go. Start a poll. Let's do Canva or xTool. You go. Canva, xTool. Okay, starting a poll. Ready? Boop. There we go. All right. Over Cricut, I'm a silhouette user. Once I started using Canva, I have not designed in Design Space. This is why I'm not going to, one of many reasons why, but it's one of the reasons is why I'm not renewing my Cricut Access subscription is because there's so many other avenues of creating your designs for free. What's the point of having Cricut Access? You know what I mean? Especially like I love Creative Fabrica. It is like my go-to for fonts, and if I don't want to design something, I'm going to go there first because I really truly can find practically anything I want there besides copyrighted images. If there's copyrighted images, then I go to Inkscape and I create them myself, but those are going to take longer. But like if you had an xTool and you didn't know how to build your own laser files like what we did today, you could probably find the same sign that I created with you today over on Creative Fabrica. Probably. You would just have to search for it. So there's that. I love my Cricut, but design elsewhere. I will always and forever be a Cricut lover, only because it got me to where I am today. So I feel like I will always be forever in their debt. You know what I mean? Because they got it, seriously, owning a Cricut was able to like propel my life into like owning my Etsy shop, making 6 figures, then having my cardstock warehouse, and now being here on YouTube. Like that didn't all just happen without the Cricut, you know? So that is like, I will always forever love my Cricut, but I feel like they need to get back into being less about the monetizing and like money grabs and more about like just improving their software, you know? I don't know, but I do love my Cricuts. Okay, what the F? I'm not sure what your name is, but it says, I'm so upset I have so many files locked away in xTool's design space. You're gonna want to like look through my feed because I do show you how to take your files outside of Cricut and put them into a different program. I do show you how to do that a couple different ways. So you just want to look for those things. They're in a couple different spots on my channel. So just to let you know. The software needs help. Absolutely. Cricut software does need help. And the last time, when did I use it? Was it okay, one thing that's like coming to brain is I haven't used my Cricut in quite a while, but the last time I did use it, which I don't think it was the very last time, but this is going to be the one that stops, like, comes out, is when I made my kids core memory popcorn buckets, and I wanted to do like the whole core memory thing like you would get at the movie theaters. I DIY'd it here for the house, and I tried to do a print then cut, and it wouldn't work. It would not work. And so that was really frustrating. So I think that there was, since then I've used it one more time, but like that's the thing that stood out for me. It's like I don't use it very often now, and the last thing I want is to like have issues when I do use it. You know what I mean? When I recently made a Halloween t-shirt or a sweatshirt, I used my Caesar, everything's backwards, but I used my Caesar 24-inch. I hadn't used the program or the machine in months. I opened that thing up and I got to cutting like that. No issues. That's what I want. Like if I were to use something, I want to be able to just like open it up and use it. I don't want to have to like try and figure out a way to go around things. You know what I mean? Because that's not fun. Crafting's supposed to be fun. I get nervous with every update for Cricut. Yeah. That's normal. Unfortunately, that is normal for everyone, which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but it is normal. Okay, so next week, we are going to be doing Canva. We're going to be doing Canva Live. You're going to need the pro version for this. I do believe they have like a 1-week starter thing, so you're going to want to sign up. I would just wait. If you don't have Canva Pro, I would wait until Monday when we do a Canva Live, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to do something fun. What everyone else is doing, that's like a viral thing, that's what we're going to do over in Canva. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that over in Canva. And then we're never going to use the Cricuts. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to, but you really don't have to. So that's what we're going to do next Monday, because 64% of you want Canva. Yeah. All right, y'all. Donna Manning, I sure hope that you start feeling better and that you're able to use your xTool M1 Ultra. Was it Christina? You're the one that's getting your M1 Ultra today in the mail. I believe it was Christina. If it isn't, apologies. But if it is you, Christina, or if it isn't you, and you're the one that's getting the M1 Ultra in today in the mail, I sure hope that you have so much fun creating. Oh no, it is Denise. I knew I was wrong. Denise is the one who is getting hers tomorrow. And I sure hope you're going to have a lot of fun. I have a few different M1 specific M1 Ultra things in there. If you don't have the xTool, but you want to learn how to build your files in xTool, there is other xTool tutorials that I have on my channel. Because every single xTool machine all uses the same software, it doesn't matter which tutorial you use. The settings will change for your machine, which you'll be able to figure that out later. But just know that every single xTool tutorial that I do have all work for the same machine, just your settings will be a little bit different. But I sure hope I inspired you to create, and I sure hope you had a whole lot of fun, and I will see you next week live on my channel where we are doing a whole bunch of